My first exposure to the Augustinians, although not a very direct exposure, was through the Villanova School of Law, where I graduated in 1968. There were no courses taught by the Augustinians, but there was an awareness that the Augustinians sponsored the law school. Professors incorporated Augustinian philosophy into the curriculum, and there was simply an overriding Catholic feel to the school, and that was important to me. By the time I finished law school, my wife Mary and I had 3 children, and the 4th was soon to come, and we would often go to Mass on campus where we had further exposure to the Augustinians. All 4 of our children went to the Villanova Law School for the same reasons that I chose the school. And 2 of our children were married by the Augustinians at the church on campus. We weren't parishioners of St. Thomas of Villanova Church, but we would go often to Mass there. We lived in our family home on Upper Gulf Road in Radnor from 1984 through 2019. It was a special place for our family and continues to hold many fond memories. It had been on the market for about 10 years when my realtor came to me and shared that the Augustinians were looking for a new home for their novitiate. It was then that we began to consider gifting our home to the Augustinians. I did consider giving our home to Villanova University, but I realized that the Augustinians have less means and their pool of donors is limited for charitable gifting. As it turns out, gifting our home to the friars worked out better for us. It was more satisfying for our purposes to give to the order and to know that future members of the order would spend 1 year in our home praying, learning more about Augustinian spirituality, and preparing themselves for priesthood. That was very comforting to Mary and me. It wasn't until after we donated our home that we began to establish close ties with individual friars. First with Father Michael Di Gregorio, then Prior Provincial, and Father Frank Horn, former treasurer of the order. Father Michael presented me with a coffee table book on St. Augustine. It sparked a keen interest in me to read more about the life of St. Augustine and the Confessions. We now consider ourselves part of the Augustinian community and are delighted to attend ordinations, professions of vows, and social events sponsored by the Augustinians. I've gotten to know the friars who direct the formation program in the novitiate, Father David Cregan, Father O'Leary, and most recently, Father Michael Bilecki. Mary and I have been to the novitiate several times for Mass and dinner, and our entire family was invited for Mass at Christmas time the first year after we donated our home. We feel as if our home is always open to us to see the novices and friars who have been so warm and welcoming. The Augustinians have allowed us in many ways to keep our home in our lives, and for that we are grateful. We drive by frequently and think about all the good times we had there. As you get older, it's important to give to causes that are meaningful to you. I would suggest that if you have the financial resources to give, consider the Augustinians. In return, you will have the added benefit of a spiritual dimension to your gift when you make an investment in the Augustinians. How gratifying it is to know that our home will always be associated with the formation of Augustinian priests. When you fall asleep at night, I think it's important to think about things like that.